Welcome to the FileForms Business Compliance Podcast, where we help business owners and their professional advisors stay on track and aware of all their compliance needs while running a business in the United States. I'm your host, Frank Tuminello, CEO and co-founder of FileForms, an industry-leading government-approved software compliance platform used by thousands of businesses and their professional service providers nationwide. Thank you for joining, and let's get started with this week's episode. In business compliance, and we're very honored to have Carl Brown from Washington, D.C.'s Small Business Development Centers here today. Carl, feel free to introduce yourself to the listeners out there.
Hey, Frank. Hey, audience. My name is Carl Brown. I'm the state director for the D.C. Small Business Development Center, and we're located on the campus of Howard University. I'm actually a proud graduate of Howard University, and the center itself was established in 1979. And the good thing about that was my freshman year at Howard University. So,
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, there's two things that coexist with my life at Howard. The center started in 1979 when I became a freshman, and Howard was founded on March 2nd, 1867, way before me, but I was born on March 2nd. So,
no way.
Yeah, we celebrate birthdays, man.
It was destiny.
Destiny, absolutely.
They're proud to have destiny. You both as an alumni, and I'm sure as a student, and now as a leader. Yeah.
I mean, that's a blessing in itself. We work well together. The whole team in the School of Business. I mean, we just work well together. Helping the students. Number one, that's first and foremost, and then, the entrepreneurial community itself at large in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to just go into a little bit about what we do, Frank.
Yeah, that'd be great. We've really enjoyed partnering with America's Small Business Development Centers across the nation, and D.C. specifically. We're looking to serve on, this new compliance requirements. So would love to learn a little bit more, or help our listeners learn a little bit more about, what the centers are all about and the type of resources that you're able to provide in a very eloquent way to small businesses.
Oh yeah, well, I love talking about what we do.
Excellent.
The first thing on the list is confidential counseling. We provide free confidential counseling, and it's not, like a lot of people ask me, oh, is it free the first time? No, it's free. You can come back as often as you want. We've had customers 5-10 years. I mean, so if you want to refresh your business, come on back. You just starting out, and you take a little bit and then you run with it and you come back. That's fine. We love to have you, but it's free confidential counseling. And I always say it's confidential because it's nobody else's business but your own. Then we provide industry research. Well, large businesses live on industry research and business intelligence. And so we're trying to teach small businesses that they need to do the same thing. Make your decisions based on the research, demographic information, all of that. I mean, you don't know what's going to go on in your community 10, 20, 30 years from now, and it could impact your business. And I say, well, look at the master plan. What are they going to build in that community? A lot of people overlook that, but that's very important. What are the industry trends? Like you're doing coffee, so now they got a new way to manufacture the coffee, roast the beans and all that. But you're not doing that. You're doing it the old way. And then you're wondering why your customers are dwindling. Well, they get a better taste down the street, because
Sure.
they, put in the new formula that you're not doing. So, I mean, we provide that industry research, and again, it's free. These are your tax dollars at work. Then we do the loan package review. Every small business comes in, they say, hey, Carl, I need some money. Okay, so we look at we work with them on their loan package to make sure that they answer all the questions, provide all of the documents that are necessary and needed in that application. So if they give you 2 years of tax returns and it says 3, we remind them, okay, hey guys, we got to get that last one in here. And they go, oh, okay. We thought we can get away with 2. No, if they ask for 3, they want 3. I don't care if they don't even look at it. They ask for it, they want to check it off, okay? And if you're not doing that, guess what? Then you're just going to have to start back all over again. So we try to be as complete as possible so that when they go, and not only that, Frank, here's the other thing. We take it to the next level. We don't just look at your loan package, but we have already talked to a bunch of CDFIs, banks, credit unions, and et cetera, to determine where you are financially and who would be the best choice for you to get the money you need. And sometimes they come in, oh, I want 50,000, but when we're looking at their profile and we talk to the bank, so the bank says, well, maybe 30.
Sure.
30 is better than nothing.
I'm sure that guidance is super helpful, just setting the expectation and letting people realize the type of time they need to invest and what the outcome might be. Having a sounding board, whether versus going off on their own and potentially getting left at the altar with a lender or another form of growing their business. I can certainly relate to that. I'm curious, are most of the small businesses that you work with, are they first-time entrepreneurs kind of starting out from the get-go, or are they kind of previous business owners with maybe a little bit of experience entering maybe a new chapter in their life through a new venture?
We go the full gamut from the ideation stage to the mature stage. So we deal with all of them. All phases of business development. So, which is a good thing, because everybody needs something different. Those that have been around for 5 to 10, 15 years, they may want to pivot, or, there's new things that come on to the marketplace. I mean, AI wasn't something that was around 10 years ago.
Right.
I would say 5 years ago, that we knew of. It was around, but we didn't know what it was, And so they're coming in to say, well, hey, what is this thing? I keep hearing about it, and we provide workshops. So that was like number 4 on the list. After loan package review, we do conferences, webinars, and workshops. So we do workshops with on AI. We provide subject matter experts. We have people like yourself come in and talk to our clientele.
I really enjoyed the radio show the other week.
Oh,
that was
me
a lot
too.
of fun.
I mean, it was phenomenal, man. It was phenomenal. So we do these things, conferences, webinars, and workshops to expose, our clientele and potential clients to this information. I mean, we have a database of, like folks from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So if you want to get a patent or a trademark or a copyright or something like that, we have the experts that do it. And on the campus of Howard University, we have a patent and trademark resource center right in the School of Business library. So we take folks over there and they can do the initial research for free. I mean,
Very
you can't
interesting.
beat that.
You can't beat that.
Can't
Free
beat that.
education, free guidance. Sometimes that's all people need. They just need a little bit of support, and then they're on their way. Are you meeting with these business owners more than once? Is it kind of frequent? Are they kind of calling you up consistently, or is it kind of a one time?
Oh no. Well, I'm gonna tell you, the tire kickers and the window shoppers is probably more than likely a one-time thing.
Sure.
They come in gun ho. Oh yeah, I want to start a business, and you give them some homework, and you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just want to finish out the last thing that we're doing right now is we have what is called Shop DC. Shop DC. We have a marketplace like a Etsy or Amazon. And I'm using this as a training tool for the students. So we're not charging for this. We don't charge a percentage. If you sell something for $100, you get the whole $100. We don't charge you a penny. We don't charge you any fees. There's no money coming from you to us because we're using this as a training tool. So we have a certain amount of spots set aside just for our students, but then our clients, faculty, staff, and alumni at Howard University, and small business owners in Washington, D.C. And we don't charge anyone anything because, again, we're using this as a training tool for e-commerce.
Makes sense. So anyone can just bring their product and hopefully grab one of those slots and distribute on your platform. That's really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And
That's a great
got
benefit.
A lot of people on there already. So, and folks are already shopping up there. So I'm loving it, you know.
Yeah.
We're just opening doors of opportunity, and we're training and teaching people.
Great resume builder for the students, obviously.
Yes.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
We have a lot of student entrepreneurs. I mean, and, you know, to be able to train them, teach them on the proper way of product placement and all these things, it's just a wonderful thing. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, we want you to make sure, we want to make sure that you are the best that you can possibly be. And all of these things matter, you know, how your product looks online. You know, you don't want a wrinkled up T-shirt. You're selling T-shirts all wrinkled up. I mean, who's going to buy it, you know? So, I mean, all of that, all of it makes a difference, you know, the marketing, the branding, you know, now incorporating AI into this whole thing. You know, understanding, you know, your intellectual property rights and whether or not you need a patent, a trademark. Because, you know, and these young folks out here, man, they are really going after being entrepreneurs, and which I love because, you know, and I've talked about this a lot. You know, when I was going to undergrad, it was like, you know, get a job, you know, work there 30 years, retire, and, you know, hopefully get a gold watch or you get a gold-plated watch. You know, it's like, nah. That the young people of today are not like, they're not going to stick around 30 years, number one. You know, 3 to 5, and that's if you're challenging them.
Sure.
If you're just giving them routine, you know, regular work, then they're not even going to stick around a year.
They're going to start side hustling.
Yeah, side hustling. And Frank, and you know this, man. People are walking dogs. I mean, people are doing stuff like charging all. I don't know about where you're at, but on the college campus, we got all these bikes. You know,
Yep.
And they got to be charged up. All these scooters and everything, they got to be charged up. People are snapping them up, charging them up in their house, and, you know, and making money. You know, I mean, there's so many people are Ubering and, you know, I mean, driving, they're delivering food and all this. I mean,
it's a gig economy. Yeah,
it's the gig economy. You know,
exactly right.
And you know, people are not looking at, you know, IBM and all these other major corporations as a place to go for 30 years. They're like, nah, I'm okay. They prefer their freedom.
Definitely. It's a super valuable thing. You know, time is a scarce commodity, and freedom's a big part about maximizing your time, for sure. So how's kind of tax season in the SBDCs? You know, is it a crazy time? You know, a lot of these entrepreneurs, do they have good kind of good resources or good head on their shoulders when it comes to taxes and kind of other compliance forms that are due kind of this time of the year?
Man, Frank, I'm so glad you asked that question, man. Because when I was talking about the loan package review, part of what I have to talk about now, since the pandemic and the EIDL and the PPP loans, the EIDL, which is the economic injury disaster loan that was let out by the SBA during the pandemic, and the PPP that was, you know, partnering with the banking community through the SBA, through Congress to fund those things. We found that a lot of our businesses were not meeting the mark or not even qualifying because they weren't paying their taxes. They weren't in compliance with the business licensing, okay? didn't have a financial infrastructure, no QuickBooks, no NetSuite, not even a Excel spreadsheet. Didn't have a lot of banking relationships. Had one bank account and it was personal, not a business bank account. So when you talk about tax season, that's part of the minutia right there. I mean, these folks are missing the boat. And so we have to, do a whole financial literacy thing with our small businesses. And that's just not in Washington, D.C., it's across the country. Because we all know that, a lot of small businesses didn't qualify for the funding during the EIDL loan when it was let out. So that's why Senator Cardin out of Maryland put back in the bill that he wanted small businesses with 9 or less employees to be like at the top of the list to get the second round of funding. Well, that wasn't even going to hit the mark anyway, because those were the ones that were, not in compliance anyway. So but those that are in compliance, Frank, we have the Center for Accounting Education at Howard University. And they were working with our small businesses to help them along with their taxes.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm sure that's a huge help. I mean, when you're running a business, trying to grow, trying to hire employees, I mean, keeping up with the records certainly is probably not the most exciting part of any entrepreneur's day. I personally am a numbers guy, but I'm not sure that everyone is. Some folks are the exact opposite. So if you are, I suspect the last thing you want to do is go download QuickBooks perhaps and navigate that on your own without ever taking an accounting course. It could be a quite daunting situation.
Intimidating.
Yes,
intimidating.
Certainly.
But you hit on a point there about record keeping. So I invited the IRS, and they actually reached out to me because they wanted to, talk about and do a couple of workshops on record keeping for small businesses. So we did. We partnered with them because it was so important to them to get the word out that these small businesses have to, really keep records. If they want to write this stuff off, you got to be able to show that you have the record or the receipt, as they say, that can prove that you spent the money where you're saying you spent it, or that you donated the money where you said you donated it. So at the end of the day, you got all these receipts that can help you with your taxes, okay? And they gave you secrets on how to keep the receipts and all this other stuff. So we're going to have them come back and do some more webinars. And I'm going to do like I did with you, have them on the radio show, because, it's just not in Washington, D.C., but it's, all over the country. We got to get the word out.
Certainly. There's a lot of tools out there that I think, business owners don't have the time to investigate. A lot of vendors have similar looking websites, and you're looking for something, but you're not sure you're looking exactly what you're looking for, or what you should be paying for it. So, having strategic guidance for folks who've kind of been there, done that with many, many businesses like you and your centers have, that makes a ton of sense. I guess that brings us to our next topic, which is kind of a little bit more on cue with FileForms, is just kind of compliance services. I mean, can you just kind of speak to, outside of taxes themselves in your centers, when someone's coming to, form a business or get started, or even just care for their business's compliance with the annual reports and the registered agent disclosures? Can you kind of speak to how, your centers help cater to that for entrepreneurs?
Oh, absolutely. We, in addition to the IRS, we have another partnership with the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection in Washington, D.C. And they are responsible for every corporation. If you go to file to get incorporated, you have to go through them. Then you get what is called a basic business license, all right? And that thing has to be renewed annually. And we found that a lot of these folks were not doing it. And that's why we have a strategic partnership with them, because, You have to file all of your reports through them. You have to keep your certificates up to date, and your licenses. So if you're in a barbershop, there's a certain license for that. If you have a restaurant, there's a certain license for that. I mean, there's licenses for almost every and anything, and they have the complete comprehensive list of licensing and the fees that go along with it. Okay. So, and it's not free. This is not services provided by the DCSBDC. So you got to pay for all this stuff. And then if you are a government contractor, you have to get from the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection what is called a clean hands certificate. And that means that you are up to date on your taxes, that you are in compliance with the Department of Licensing. So in this combination, because obviously the Department of Taxation is a whole nother department, so they work in tandem to ensure that or that you qualify for this clean hands. So if you're trying to do any kind of business in the district and you win a contract, before it's awarded, you got to provide your clean hands certificate.
Sounds like quite a few boxes to check in order to kind of operate in DC. And I think, I'm not sure if every business owner knows that when they're signing up for these opportunities.
Oh yeah, they do, because guess what? When I say strategic partnership, we have a presence in their office and they have a presence in mine. So we work well together. We actually, before the pandemic, we were doing monthly not webinars, but actual in-person workshops in their offices. And they set aside 2 computers in their offices just for us, so that everyone who registered their business could go on their computers that they set aside for us and register for services with us right there in their offices. So that's what when I'm talking about strategic partnership, it's not a name only and maybe a MOU and a handshake and all that. I'm talking about resource development and all that. I mean, if you really want to, work with these small businesses, help them out, get them to the next level, it's got to be more than just on paper. Yep. It has to be real,
Yep.
And the other thing that I pride our office on is this: we get the word out to the other SBDCs around the country that these are some of the best practices right here. When you have a partnership, a strategic partnership with an agency like that, if you're sharing resources, and I mean, they have 2 computers, they give us office space. 2 ways. They give us their conference room to do the workshops, and they give us office space to do confidential counseling. Because sitting at a Starbucks is not confidential counseling. I'm sorry. Or sitting in their conference room is not confidential counseling, because anybody could walk in. And again, we pride ourselves on confidential counseling because, like I said, it's nobody else's business but your own.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of sensitive information around businesses, especially at kind of significant milestones, whether it's getting started or raising funding. So certainly makes sense to kind of keep all that stuff confidential and get good guidance along the way. On the topic of compliance, BOI reporting is obviously something we talked about on your radio show, the Corporate Transparency Act. Was this something on your radar, previous to 2024, or was this something that was relatively new as of this year?
Oh, no. This was on my radar two ways. Because again, I would say 2023, early 23, because I actually had some folks come on and do a webinar for us on what we call Financial Fridays. And they did a webinar for us to do a brief discussion on it early on. But then and then America's SBDC, we've been talking about it, for the past 2 years. So it's been on my radar. But I'm going to tell you something though, Frank, you opened my eyes when you said those that filed after January 1, 24, they're on the hook 90 days later. I didn't know that. I mean, I really didn't, because I was focused on everything before 2024. And so I told everybody, hey, you got till, I was saying December 31st, 24, but, really, I was saying to everybody, look, you got to get this thing in. Don't wait, don't wait, don't hesitate. So, and then when you open my eyes about it, my social media is like flooded now with BOI reporting requirements, because we have to get the word out. And, I'm like the little guy in the forest screaming, hey, you gotta get this report done, or else it's $591 a day and there's no forgiving, and they're not going to forget about you either. And right. I don't know about you, but I read the headline. I'm going to read the article later on tonight, but I read a headline today that said the IRS is letting people know that a lot of people are going to be sued in this year. I'm like, whoa. And that was just the headline. So I can't wait to dive deep into that and find out what's going on. What is this all about? But,
well, I certainly think the IRS has a more significant budget than FinCEN, who's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network.
Right.
So they I think have a little bit more resource to go out and probably get the refunds that they're looking to collect. Now, FinCEN, on the other hand, I think is probably looking to build a budget, which potentially through these fines could help them. Obviously, they have a good cause, which is money laundering is a terrible issue in the United States, and one that this law is looking to correct. And BOI reporting is something that is very serious, but at the same time, despite our efforts, Carl, not enough folks do know about this. And,
no, they don't. They don't. And
I'm curious to hear your thoughts as to like how do you think businesses will become aware of something like this? Like, will it be in the newspaper? Will it be on one of our radio shows? I mean, you tell me.
Frank, you know how they're going to start paying attention when people are fined.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Yeah, me too. I swear to God. I mean, that's why that's why I'm gonna have you on the show again. I talked about it. I just did a show a little while ago. I did another 15 minutes just on that, and I was like, look, folks, you got to pay attention, because if you incorporated, you formed your business since January of 24, you're already on the hook for the $591 a day. Already on the hook, because it's past 90 days.
Yep.
So, and small businesses are not paying attention, and it's like I'm looking for other folks to get on the train to say, hey, don't forget that this is due. And there's very little information on various government websites that I thought it would be on.
You would think the IRS would even have it on their website, kind of front and center, to kind of direct some traffic to FinCEN. Granted, it's a different government agency. I think a lot of folks think they're one and the same, but there's a distinction there. But you also look at advisors. I think you're taking a more proactive approach than many advisors of businesses on the BOI report. But I think a lot of advisors out there are simply aware of it, but maybe not doing as much education as they could be. So we're trying to kind of help obviously spread the word as much as we can on the new law, so that folks don't get blindsided by these significant fines, because to your point, they are significant.
Frank, excuse me, that's when people gonna find out.
Yeah.
When they start handing down these fines, and that's gonna be like shortly. For 2024 people, that's gonna be shortly. And so maybe by the summertime, folks will start paying attention because they're going to hear about these BOI fines.
Yeah,
not reporting.
I think naturally people feel like, oh, 6 months is still a lot of time to get this out of the way. But as you think about the summer, as you think about the holidays, I always guide people at least check to see when your ID is going to expire. I know my ID is expiring on my birthday in August, so I know I need to update my ID. That is something that's just very easy to miss and is going to hold you up. And unfortunately, getting new IDs, DMVs, God bless it, is an experience in and of itself. I don't wish that upon anyone.
That's a day-long process.
It really is. Man. I wish it wasn't. You'd think this day and age they could figure out an online solution, but we could only be so optimistic when it comes to government portals, government processes. Sometimes it is a little bit of a bottleneck, but obviously it starts with education, and I think FileForms is certainly looking to partner with great business leaders like yourselves, and get the education out as much as we can, and at least let people know that they have 6 months and to get this out of the way, and there is this perpetual need to kind of maintain this new data set. So having a good solution in place, I think is super important. This is sensitive information that ultimately needs to get disclosed. So we're here to help, not just for DC SBDCs, but those nationwide.
Well, I can tell you this, man. Send me a flyer, and I'll send it out to all of my database, because
you got it.
We have got to get the word out. Small businesses really can't take another hit. I'm talking to small business owners that haven't recovered from the pandemic. And I don't know about, New York. I mean, well, I do know about New York. I'm going to tell you. The amount of retail space available in New York City is just unimaginable. Because as a little, growing up in New York City, I mean, there was every kind of store on every block. I mean, I don't think there was any retail space really open and available. And now you can go blocks and see like the corner stores open and the next 5 are vacant. And it's 2 reasons. A lot of people are not coming back into the city. They're working from home, wherever their home is, whether it's Long Island or Jersey or whatever, Connecticut or whatever. They're not coming into the city like they used to. And then the rents were killing people as well. I mean, we got. I talked to a buddy of mine I talked to him Monday. And his restaurant was, he just celebrated 22 years. But the rent is proposed to go up more than double. So he's closing his doors. He can't afford the rent that they're trying to charge. Couple that with the fact that the people that used to visit his restaurant on a regular basis no longer work in the city. They work out of their homes. So retail has taken a hit. Small businesses have taken a hit. Restaurants have taken a hit. So we're in the bubble right now, and we can't afford to be paying these large fines that are about to come up, And I'm saying that from a small business perspective, and the word is not getting out. So if you're making the donuts, you're not really paying attention to somebody talking about a report that you know nothing about.
Yep.
You know about your taxes, but this new report, you don't understand it. You don't know what it means. You don't know why. But as you pointed out, Frank, very eloquently, why it's needed, and that word isn't getting out there. So I'm going to do as much as I can and all that I can to help our small businesses be notified.
Excellent. Well, let's do it together. If we can kind of create a community of awareness and help spread the word through, any means possible, whether it's flyers, whether it's emails, landing pages. I think, there's a lot of different consumers out there, from young entrepreneurs to folks that might be looking to kind of pass the legacy of their business on to the next generation. So, everyone's going to need to file this report. 40 million businesses, 32.6 million businesses, according to FinCEN. So, it's definitely something that will become top of mind and certainly should as the year unfolds. But definitely really appreciate you taking some time with us, Carl. It was a lot of fun. You're a veteran when it comes to this audio stuff, so it's awesome, kind of following in your footsteps, if you will. And any closing thoughts for the listeners?
Yeah, hey Frank, you just gave me a hell of an idea, man. We're going to put on our landing page the information about BOI, but I would also say and suggest that maybe you talk to T about getting the word out to all of the other SBDCs, because we collectively have hundreds of thousands of clients, and about putting the information on their landing pages as well. I mean, that to me is, when you hit our page, the first thing you should see is, are you prepared or have you filed your BOI report? Yep. And then, we can start that conversation.
Definitely.
But again, I'm going to have you come back on my show, because we got to get the word out. And I can tell you, man, it was a hell of a show. I was listening to it yesterday, and it was a hell of a show.
If you don't mind, send me the recording.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a copy of that, man, because and you edit it, do whatever you need to do, but get it out there, because it was a hell of a show, and I really appreciate you coming on. And I'm a guy that's about it. I'm not one of these guys that talks. And when I met you, I said, hey, man, I'm going to have you on my show. And I meant it, and we were on the show. We did the show. The show is out in the public domain now, So we got a partnership, man. I really appreciate you, Frank, and I really appreciate T for introducing us. And, because you bring a lot to the table. FileForms, you guys are doing your thing, and we need you. And small businesses need you, because we're not good at doing these form things. As a small business owner myself, I'm telling you, I'm not good at receipts and all that, but I got it, and I got inside information. So yep. the people that don't have that, oh man, they're lost in the wilderness. I'm the guy talking to the IRS. I'm talking to you. And I'm not good at it, So, and I'm not making donuts every day, I'm not running a 5-star restaurant, that these people are, So it's a little different for me, but it's only 24 hours in a day too. So when I get a receipt, I got a little bag, and I stick them all in the bag. And at the end of the year, me and my accountant go through it. And I mean, he is one hard cookie, because he's not putting his name on nothing that he can't stand behind. And I've had this guy since 1988, okay?
Sounds like a good accountant.
Yeah, so his name, we're partners at this point in time, so yeah.
Well, I want all our listeners to become listeners of your radio show, the Small Business Report, Sirius XM Radio, Channel 141. Listen in. Carl always has interesting guests. We'll be back on there soon talking more about the BOI reporting. And this has been great, Carl. Thank you so much. We're super excited for the partnership with DC's SBDC and Howard University and just America's SBDC, broadly speaking. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And thank you to all our listeners out there. And thank you for another episode. Take care.
All right.